Hello, everybody. I am so excited for 2018, and this is still 2017. I just thought I'd do a couple updates here. I apologize so much for my absence. I could offer so many reasons, but the truth is, I don't like to make excuses for anything. There is no excuse, really, and please forgive me for that. I just got in from playing outside with my nephew. My shirt is wet because I told him we'd go play outside. And look at outside. It's a slushy, mushy mess out there, but it was fun. We entered the dark forest, we crossed the wetlands, and conquered the bad guys. So here I am with a slightly wet shirt and a heart full of joy and gratitude and excitement for what's coming in 2018. I hope you join me. Same thing, 2018. Everybody present.
Hey, planning for the new year, 2018.
And everybody excited about growing and getting better. And that's been my motivation in all of this is betterment, right? We're all going to turn a certain age and we're all going to be living in a certain time. It just depends on how we're living and how we use the time between now and then. So I know we'll all be there. We'll all be at a certain finish line. We'll all be at a certain point in time. You can hurt now through exercise, or you can hurt later through lack of exercise. I would rather feel the pain of being sore from effort rather than getting an operation and having a hip replacement or an operation to fix some sort of back injury or shoulder injury because of my own lack of self-care. So this year, remember, I started out saying exercise would be one thing, my weekly and my daily would be my drawing. And this is day for drawing, for sketching every day, one sketch page a day. This is day 1,824. I'm accountable to you. We're in this together, so I will be forthright and completely honest with you. For me, it is day 1,823. I know. Oh, it hurts so much. Hurts so much. I'll make another video on that some other time. But yeah, that's the update for drawing and sketching. And I'm still going strong. I'm going to be, if I can't be, the person who didn't miss a day, I'm going to be a person who missed only one day. Okay? That's my new story. I only missed one day. Right? If you missed 2 or 3 days, you can be a person who missed only 2 or 3 days. That can be the new story. Otherwise, maybe, hey, new year, new start, turn over a new leaf and let's get going. Right? We have new opportunities. That's the beauty of it. There's a quote that says, when there is life, there is hope. It's better to be a living dog than a dead lion. It's true. It's true. As long as you are alive and conscious, there is hope to do great things. People have proven that to us over and over again by their example. Anyways, here's an update on my exercise goals, my exercise efforts. Let me break it down by stating my purpose, some things that helped me along the way and my journey, and then I'll show you some of the results. Now, I don't believe in showing off, and really, if I had something to show off, that might be my consideration. But I am humble about it, and I think when you see the results, you'll know why I'm humble about it, and you'll be like, yeah, did you exercised? In fact, you got to deal with some of the negativity or criticism or the lack of understanding. Some people have said, when I told them I was exercising, they were like, oh, so are you running? I didn't tell them I was weight training. But I was like, yeah, I'm making an effort. I am trying to better my health. So I'll share the purpose with you, why I did an exercise goal, and also some tips and tricks that helped me accomplish my goal. And maybe they'll serve you in some way. So the reason I wanted to get better at my health was to be a better friend and better people helper, because I wasn't eating well. I started getting pains in my stomach. Because of posture, sitting and drawing. I wasn't exercising. I wasn't moving to develop strength. The reason we exercise may be complex, right? It may be because we don't like the way we look and it's more of a social factor, a social pressure, or a social desire. It may be because of health reasons that we need to change our diet, or we have certain tendencies that are leading to debilities that are keeping us from showing up with our full presence and vitality and energy and power in the moment. And so we're unable to influence, we're unable to contribute. And I was experiencing some of that with my people. I'm a people helper. And so me being present and cognitive, thoughtful, and full of energy and strong for others is very important. And so that was one of my reasons, was so that I could be present with others, because I started feeling pains in my stomach since I wasn't eating well or sleeping well. That took a big toll on my body. I wasn't drinking enough water, and I wasn't developing any strength. And so I decided, coming back from Brendan Burchard's High Performance Academy, he said, let this be the year in which you are in the best shape you've ever been. So I took that as a challenge, and I was like, I'm gonna do that. I don't like working out, so this is why it was a challenge for me. I'm not one of those people who goes and they're like,
Oh, I just love the way my body feels. And when I'm exercising, I just get this exercise high.
or the person who says,
Says, I haven't gone to the gym in a long time. My body's just craving it.
like, my body doesn't crave that at all. My body avoids that and runs from that, and so I don't like the pain of the gym. But I recognize that if I don't feel pain now, I will probably feel pain in the future. And then I start seeing some of the people around me complaining of the aches and pains from lack of exercise or lack of good conditioning. And maybe it's not all because they don't want to, or that they're unmotivated or lack initiative. Maybe it's some of these things are due to other reasons, some of which are out of our control. But we need to take hold of the wheel where we can and drive our life to the destiny and results that we discern are going to serve others and also reap a blessing for ourselves. So one, to help others, and the challenge was I don't like exercising. I've always worn long sleeve shirts and avoided t-shirts, just because I went to the doctor and she said, are you a little anorexic? So I've avoided exposure at all costs. My wrists are very thin wrists. My watches either have to be cut or I have to punch an extra hole in them. And my biceps are about the size of my wrist. It wasn't a huge, debilitating complex, but it was sufficient enough for me to avoid t-shirts. Even in the summer, I'd rarely wear shorts, I'd wear pants. Who here identifies with me? Please say I'm not the only one. Don't leave me alone here. It's aesthetics, right? One was to be present and serve others. The other one was aesthetics. Not something I'm going to be flaunting or showing off, but it is something that I want to feel good about myself. I want to feel that I made the effort. That's I guess one of the things is, I'm fine with however I look as long as I'm responsible and feel that I made an effort to be the best I could be. And if I look a certain way or feel a certain way and I conclude that I'm that way because I have not taken responsibility to be the best I could be in that area, I've walked in weakness and fear and avoidance, I am not proud of myself. I'm not proud of my behavior. And so I say, let's be the best we can be and not be the way we are because of our own weaknesses, because of our own fears and complexes. Let's be the way we are because either circumstances are outside of our control. Let's be the way we are, the best we can be, because we assume responsibility where we need to. And Brendan Burchard has the quote, either something new comes into your life to change things or something new comes out of you. So I said, hey, this is my situation and something new has to come out of me. So I'm going to make an effort. And that's what you did too at the beginning of the year, 2017, right? In our group, we all made goals and stuff. So that was one of my goals. And since I don't like it, I was like, I got to make this to be probably the easiest it can be, yet get the results I want, right? Nobody wants to make an effort without results. That is the quickest way to lose inspiration and motivation, is to take on a methodology and a strategy that is not educated and gives you no results. Results motivate. Action motivates, but action long term must produce some sort of desired result. So let's get into this a little bit. Every year you and I see our friends and people around us starting off on goals and endeavors, and they usually start off with a strong desire and a strong want to, but they lack two other things. They lack a necessity for it and a strategy for it. And so they start off in an uneducated way, and they don't have a strong why they need to do it. And so they get highly motivated and highly energetic in the beginning phase, and then soon, due to their lack of education, they either don't get the results or they begin to get confused about what it is exactly they need to do in order to accomplish their goals. So they kind of run out of steam because of confusion and lack of clarity, and they don't know their next steps. And so when you don't know your next steps, you eventually stop walking, because you don't know, and you could take this one, or this one. Too many options create a slowness. Whenever there's confusion, there's going to be slowness in one's trajectory and one's walk. That lack of strategy brings too much confusion, slowness.
And last but not least, one of the biggest mistakes you could be making here when you're trying to lose weight is making this time look all too similar to the last time. You see, as soon as you head to the gym and you swipe that card and maybe you break out the same new shoes that you got for Christmas last year and the same new gym outfit that you got last year, and you go, you miss one workout, what does it look like? It looks like the same thing that happened last year. And immediately you know that, you recognize that, and you feel to yourself, it's all happening all over again, I've already lost. So what you need to do is you need to somehow make this time look different. Now, I would first advise you to get a plan, because if you went there last year with no plan, you didn't know how many days a week you were going to train, you didn't know what you were going to train when you were there, you thought it was all about just doing the cardio, whatever the thing is that you did wrong, you're going to be better off with a plan. But if you had a plan, then do something else different. Change the time that you go to the gym. Change the gym altogether. Maybe bring someone else to the gym with you to, again, hold yourselves accountable. Maybe don't even train in a gym at all. Train at home this time. Or maybe even introduce some supplements that you're now having to hold yourself even more accountable towards, because you feel at least there's something different that you added. It actually cost you some money. So now you have to make sure that you're holding up your end of the bargain to allow those supplements to work. Whatever it is, you've got to make this time look different from last time.
A strong need. Now, I had a need. My body is not responding well when I need it to. I'm feeling sick more often. I'm feeling pain in my stomach. I'm not eating well. I'm tired. My thoughts are fuzzy. I started forgetting a lot of things when I would speak to people, especially when you're counseling or you're a people helper, you're giving guidance. You need your brain to be fast. And so my brain was not, due to tiredness, due to lack of good nutrition, due to lack of activity. It was my body was not responding the way it should. So I had a strong need. I had a couple visits to the doctor, and I had a strong need to do that. So now I don't have a lot of fat content on my body, and I rarely work out my abs. I'm just that skinny to where I kind of naturally have some sort of a 4-pack, 6-pack. But some of the people that pursue their goals in an uneducated way, here's an example of that in the realm of exercise. They want fat loss, and so a couple weeks in, they look at their belly, and their belly is as big as it's ever been, and so they give up. And what I learned through pursuing education, the truth is the fat on the stomach is the last fat to go. That is, part of doing it right is not judging before you should judge. It's judging when you should judge, or evaluate when you should evaluate. On what criteria should you evaluate? And so they look at their stomach, they see that it's as big as ever, and they give up. Well, we will lose fat on our arms and in our face and in our legs before our stomach. If the stomach's fat's the last one to go, and we're using that as the first criteria of our success, we're going to be discouraged sooner than we even start, sooner than we even get very far in our goal. But that's through understanding and through education. So think of the goal that you have. How are you educating yourself in that field, in that goal? How to do it better, how to do it right. What videos have you watched? Who have you talked to that has done that before? And they can give you some tips on how to evaluate and when to evaluate, and that would serve you. For example, I learned that there are various types of fat. I didn't know that. I thought all fat was the same. There's actually good fat and bad fat. You're like, John, didn't you go to school? Yes, I did, but I forget things. There's a fat that's a healthy fat, and it burns as energy. See? I didn't know that. And then there's a fat that just hangs on a person. Like if you put Ziploc bags full of dough or full of cream on your body and just kind of pinned that with a safety pin to your clothes, and it just hangs there. It doesn't transform into anything. That's a different type of fat. So there's a fat that burns into energy, kind of like a wood in a stove. You put wood into a stove and it gives you heat, especially in the winter. But then there's another type of fat that hangs off of your body and doesn't transform into anything. Ooh, that's nasty. So You have olive oil, avocado, and those burn as energy. But then you have fried foods, you have different types of sugars, and those produce the fat that just hangs off your body. And that doesn't mean you can't eat it. This is another thing. I mean, then people are like, I can't enjoy life. No, actually you can. Study, educate yourself. Look at one of the things I found, intermittent fasting. Now, people have always said to me, John, you have an empty leg. How is it that you eat so much and you don't gain weight? I'll still be eating when other people have finished. I'll have seconds and even thirds sometimes. And people are like, how come you don't gain weight? And the reason is, I found out, was intermittent fasting. I didn't know I was doing intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting, it's basically not eating for a large portion of the day. I don't really eat breakfast, and I eat a late lunch. And so I eat more at lunch and a lot in dinner, and I'm basically fasting the rest of the time. You want to have a 90% healthy diet, but another 10%, you can eat some of those unhealthy things, and it really won't affect you if the rest of your lifestyle is including certain ingredients. Now, in the inclusion of those other ingredients that are important, exercise, that includes cardio and weight training, good sleep, see, I wasn't sleeping well, and eating well, rest, good diet, physical activity, those are important. And there are strategies to work those through. So again, how are you educating yourself towards your goals? I watched a documentary that encouraged me. I'd watch a video on how to do bicep curls, the wrong way to do bicep curls. Many days I did not feel like getting up and exercising, but I'd watch the video and it would motivate me. The person in it would motivate me. The visual of their results also motivated me. And often after watching a 5-minute video that was educational on my goal, I was motivated to begin the goal within the next 5 minutes. So if you're feeling unmotivated, pursue a little bit of education on your goal. The education will motivate you, and also the person educating you will motivate you. One of the main reasons we don't fulfill our goals is because of discouragement. You felt it. I felt it. And it's one of the main hindrances to us accomplishing what we want to achieve. And so getting rid of discouragement is one of our chief tasks when we're trying to accomplish a goal. So where does discouragement come from? A lot of places. One of the main places it comes from is comparison. And comparison is just another faulty way of evaluating our progress and evaluating where we're at. So when this evaluation piece is necessary when we're trying to get from here to there. But how we evaluate, we need to be educated on that. You and I could look at Instagram and evaluate ourselves according to the people on Instagram in our sphere of interest. I could look at muscle builders on Instagram and YouTube and evaluate myself in comparison to them. What I may not know is that their gains may be different than mine due to their frequency of their exercise, how much they exercise, what supplements they're taking, what they're eating, and maybe even some things that I don't want to be involved in. But those reasons being part of the results that I'm comparing myself to. See, that's the problem with just jumping into a goal and then trying to evaluate it based on mere comparison. Some of these guys are taking supplements that I'm not taking. Some of them have workout routines that don't look anything like mine, that are much more strenuous than mine. Others are taking steroids, and I don't want to take steroids. And so I'm looking for quick gains when in reality, for a person to naturally build muscle, it's going to take years. So what I learned from them is that I need to change my way of evaluation. Some even say, don't evaluate for a year, even 2 years. Some will say pause or postpone evaluation for 4, 5, 6 years before you start expecting to look like what you're expecting to look like. And that seems hard to swallow because we want fast results, right? If we don't evaluate right and judge at the right time, then we're going to be very discouraged right out of the gate. This is how education served me, and I think it'll serve you. I mean, here's just an example of how I wasn't discouraged, but got motivated by education.
It's funny how we are sometimes reluctant to things, but deep in the heart we know that that's the right choice.
Yeah.
And then we just let it go.
You know, it's both. Because as an artist, you know that. You know what the drawing has to be. You know the story moment you need to tell.
Yeah.
And the drawing won't go that direction. And there's two options. One is to let it go, see what happens, but you have to be prepared to say thank you and then put it in a drawer, go back and draw the moment, or take the discovery and say thank you again, or you need to understand what you don't know.
Yeah.
The reason the drawing doesn't work, the reason it won't go where you want it to, is you don't understand. You don't understand. You don't understand. You either don't understand how to draw that thing and you're trying to cheat and go somewhere else, or you haven't learned that lighting setup, or there's something you just haven't learned yet. Or more importantly, you haven't learned how to draw fig leaves, and so you can't finish your darn painting of the orangutan. It's not just shrubbery.
Yeah.
And so you actually need to stop and go humbly, and learn the stuff you don't know, and then come back to your work, and then it will go where you want it to, better than before, because you spent the time humbly learning something you didn't know.
And that's the key word, is humble.
Yeah, for sure.
And it ends up being a phenomenal, beautiful,
Absolutely beautiful
orangutan painting.
Yeah.
Pursuing better how to and better practice of my goal pursuit. So they say that when you start working out, some people start seeing changes quite quickly. But then after a few weeks or months or even a year, those changes start being less dramatic. And they really take a decrease, and you don't see a lot of change, and so there's discouragement there. I'll use this balloon. I'll just start with a minimal exertion of effort. Watch. Dramatic change in the look of that balloon, right? I mean, first it's all flat and squishy, and then it's got a firmness to it, and it's no longer flat. Dramatic change with minimal effort. But if I keep up that minimal effort, no change. See? The same with working out. And I think with most things, we flatline. And in order to go to the other level, we have to have a greater exertion of effort. Minimal effort gives me that. A continuous minimal effort will continually maintain this look. I need to up my effort. With each level, I need to exert more and more effort. So you see, now my strategy is modified and my encouragement is bolstered by the right evaluation. Now I know not only how to evaluate, but when to evaluate. I won't evaluate right out the gate. I'll probably put it on pause for a while. And then with the problem solving from what I'm learning and the adjustments of my practice, I am well on the way of accomplishing what I had hoped for. A clear necessity and an educated strategy. Get rid of comparison, learn how to evaluate, how to practice right, how to pursue your goal in an intelligent way. And as the successful people have conquered their goals, imitate the successful people in your sphere of interest, the way they've done it. Watch a YouTube, watch a documentary. You're having the motivation, the why, the necessity push you, the education and the hope of the results that come from an educated path pull you. So you're being pushed towards your goal through a strong necessity from the pain of not doing it, and you're being pulled by the hope of doing it, by the expectation of the results that are in your future. This next step will be so necessary if you're looking to start a goal in a new area of interest. You need to break down the larger goal into micro goals. My larger goal was to look healthy, have strength and energy, and I needed to break that down into small chunks that I felt excited about or I felt were doable. Just like you, I've heard people say,
You know, those people in the movies, they work out 3-4 hours a day, even 6 hours a day, to achieve that look. And there's no way I'm going to be spending that much time in the gym. One, I don't have that much time or money or energy.
So they excuse themselves by saying that takes way too much investment and I'm not willing to pay that much investment. That is uneducated. See, when I go and look at body transformations and celebrity transformations on YouTube, what I'll hear is guys saying,
Oh man, it's tough. You got to work 4 or 5 hours a day in the gym, 6 hours a day in the gym. You're constantly pushing your body. And it's not a sustainable lifestyle.
They'll be asked about their diet and they'll say,
Oh, it's the worst. You gotta eat chicken and rice and chicken and rice, and that's all you can eat. Takes all the fun out of life.
And when somebody hears it takes 5 to 6 hours a day.
Points, I was training 4 hours a day in the gym. I had 2 trainers, 2 separate trainers. I don't know what I was thinking.
For a lot of that time, I was training like 6 hours a day. So it was pretty intense, and by the time, and then pumping, I kept pumping on set and training on set, working after work, and it was just, by 13 minutes you were vomiting on the floor, and we did that on a daily basis.
Alexander Skarsgård has worked harder than any actor I know. He never, ever
stopped. He was in the gym for 2 hours a day, at the beginning of the day, then he'd go back at the end of the day. He was doing movement classes, he did everything.
It was a big commitment. It's a six-picture deal, and if there's a big shift in lifestyle, I've made movies for a while, but I've never really had to change too much about how I live. And if this movie affected that, I didn't know how I would respond. Six-picture gig, it's basically like, well, guess what? You got to work again in 3 months, so figure it out. The training we worked on was just weight training, getting big, which was difficult. The tricky part was eating, just eating everything all the time.
That sounds awful.
See, you think it sounds nice, but it's not just like cheeseburgers. I mean, you have to eat like these just bland, naked pieces of chicken and rice, and it's not that appetizing.
Right.
I would say after a few weeks, you so over the food and it becomes a task. Chicken again, eggs.
Like, well, how do you get that shredded?
Months and months and months training with, crazy martial arts instructors, and you're on crazy diets, and it's the hardest experience. It really is, because you're eating a lot of boring stuff.
Oh.
Chicken breasts and vegetables all the time.
Yeah.
I've had to go through a lot of serious training. I would work out for an hour and a half, doing like 45 minutes of cardio and then a full hour of weightlifting. Then I would go to an hour of martial arts and then an hour of archery, and then I would fall asleep. and that would be an everyday thing.
The first phase was 3 months of 7,000 calories a day and lots of weightlifting to get bigger, and then cut down the meals to kind of this size, and 6 meals a day and more cardio to kind of get rid of the fat. Wow. Chicken breast and broccoli. Only 6 meals a day, which is quite a lot, but the size of the portion was like this size. So I was constantly hungry, eat every 3 hours, which meant that I spent the entire day thinking about food.
Working out every day, 2 hours of this incredible workout, and then we did 2 hours of sword fight.
Daily horseback riding training, weightlifting, and martial arts. But
Yeah,
to
yeah.
eat 5 meals a day and 3 smoothies with banana and oatmeal and just constantly pounding, that was the most challenging. Was
And that's
having
so
to
you
eat so
could
much.
you could get a little more meat on the bones?
Yes, mass quickly was the goal.
Wow.
6-7 days a week, and all you eat is chicken and rice, and there's no fun in life. I like chicken and rice, by the way. 6-7 hours a day, every day of the week, and no fun. Is that motivating?
And no fun, I bet.
No fun for 8 months.
So by the time I finished, I didn't want to step in a gym again for a while.
Well, you're Superman. You have to be in awesome shape.
Yeah, for the movie, but generally sort of off movies, I tend to be off season, and
But do you gain weight back?
yeah, I put weight on and then lose it again before we start shooting.
Are you going to be motivated to pursue that goal? No, you're going to say,
That's pure vanity. I'm not a vain person. I'm not going to be spending 6-7 hours, 5-6-7 hours in the gym 7 days a week in just becoming better looking, and taking all the fun out of my life, because my life is more than just my looks.
Right? That's what we hear often. And we pit happiness against our goal and our goal against happiness. Let's look at what's really going on with that. When I looked into the celebrity transformations and the transformations that we often see from movie stars, we find that they need to get their body ready for a performance and for a certain role that they're going to play in a movie within 3 months.
Yeah, it was, they sent a trainer out from London. I was doing a film in Boston prior to this. So for about 3 months, we trained in Boston, and it was a couple hours a day, and it was brutal.
And so if they have 3 months to have a complete body transformation, they're going to need 5-6 hours every day, 6-7 days a week. And they're going to need to go to extreme routine to have a significant transformation. Remember when I was talking about evaluating my progress? It's going to take how many years, right? So if you want to up a skill super quickly, whether it's music or language, a huge concentration on that. Cut everything out of your life. Basically become single-minded and have one point of focus and exclude everything else, and you can make significant progress in a short amount of time. But if you're talking about lifestyle that's sustainable, you have to look long-term. So I could get that body in 5 or 6 years. I could get to that skill level in 11 years. I took piano and I played at a higher level, but it took 11 years of piano training. I could have done that faster if I would have cut everything else out of my life. What I discovered was if you include certain ingredients, you can make a similar result with a different strategy. The ingredients of concentration, time, and consistency. So I adjusted my time, and what I learned is that you can get a great looking body with 30 to 40 minutes, 5 days a week. That doesn't sound like too much to me. But remember, I'm talking about breaking down the larger goal into smaller pieces. So since I had never done this before and I don't like working out, I even adjusted my time even further. And my first try for 2 years was in the summer, I worked out for 6 weeks consistently for 20 minutes a day. It's called a micro goal. Look it up online, a tiny habit or a micro goal. There's TED Talks on it and some great YouTube videos on it. And it's basically you set up something so ridiculously small that it would shame you not to fulfill it. For example, if I wanted to get into shape, I'm not used to doing push-ups or making a huge effort. I'm just going to say I'm going to do 1 push-up every day. That is so ridiculously small that if I don't do it, oh man, what does that say about me, right?
Lift me up so I can stand on mountains. I'm strong when I am on your shoulders.
3.
And the other one for reading, I'm going to read 1 sentence a day. If you want to be a person who reads more, and you say, I'm just going to read 1 sentence a day. If you don't do that, what does it say about you? What does it say about what you care about? If all of this is values based, like it's valuable to you, right? You need to do it. That's your why. That's your necessity. I need to do it because it's valuable to the people around me and for my life. It's necessary because it's so valuable. Well, if you can't do 1 push-up or read 1 sentence, what does that say about what you really believe about that value? See, so I thought, okay, I'll try that with this. I'll do 20 minutes. If I don't have 20 minutes to invest in my health 4 times a week, what does that say about how I really care about my health, how I really value my health? So I said 20 minutes, 4 times a week. And that's very doable. I used to practice piano 45 minutes 6 days a week, and 45 minutes was the minimum. And so I thought, hey, that got me results on piano and guitar, and I know I'll have results if I'm consistent. So I made a tiny habit. If you're pursuing a new sphere of interest, a new goal, break it down into a tiny habit. So for 2 years, you don't need to take 2 years, but I was a wuss, and I did 6 weeks in each summer. So for 2 years in each summer. Tony Little, when I was a little boy, my mom would pull me in to exercise with her, and so she would work out to Tony Little, and Tony Little said 6 weeks. Give it 6 weeks before you evaluate. Don't evaluate the first week, second week, third week, fourth week, fifth week. 6 weeks. Pause on your evaluation. So I gave myself 6 weeks, and I saw some results after 6 weeks. So then 2017 came around with you and me and our goals, and I said I committed to 4 times a week, 25 minutes, 4 times a week. I didn't miss 1 workout. I purposed to take a 1-week break in the summer after 1 entire year of doing the workouts. But for an entire year, I didn't miss 1 workout. And that's the other point. What we just installed in our habit making right now was this idea of breaking it down into smaller bite-sized chunks that we can accomplish and feel motivated that we did it. All with the purpose of not remaining with that minimal balloon effort, but with the purpose of, once we reach that, of going big. So on 2017, I said all year, I'm not going to miss 1. And here's the second ingredient. Consistency. I learned this with piano. I learned this with learning Spanish. I learned it with guitar. With everything you want to progress in, you must have an unbreakable loyalty to consistency. I learned it with my drawing, right? I've gotten better in my drawing after 1,823 days, no misses. I've gotten better. Consistency. Can you be consistent? Is it valuable enough to be consistent in? This is the most necessary piece. You cannot give yourself excuses. There were times when it was too late. I think I remember working out at 2 in the morning at one point because I said, I will do this. 4 times a week, 25 minutes. And that tiny goal of 25 minutes often turned into 35 and 40 minutes. But that was usually just to finish a set. I told myself it would be completely fine for me to end it at 25 minutes because that was my goal, 25 minutes. So sometimes I wanted to go to 40, but I didn't have time. I only had time for my 25. And that's all I did with my 25. But I was consistent with those 25 minutes. I don't think there was a time when I did less than 25 minutes. And I timed it with my timer each time, okay? So unbreakable consistency. Nothing will stop you. Nothing will stop you. How do you think I've made it to 1,823 days, which is the entirety of 5 years minus 1 day with drawing? It's been consistency, priority. So many people don't know how to have priorities these days. Priority. Whatever your goal is, priority. This is why you need to think long and hard about the necessity of it. Why does it need to be priority? And also think about the lifestyle it's going to produce, your strategy. I wanted results, but more than results, I wanted to be responsible with my health. And I took the attitude that I would invest 4 times a week, 25 minutes a day, and whatever results I got from that would be okay. I knew I would get results because of consistency, but I was also at peace with the results I would get from that. 3 more ingredients we're going to plop into this mix for your goal accomplishment, and you're going to have success, okay? So the first one was break it down into tiny achievable goals that are going to motivate you and give you a sense of accomplishment and prep you for the big marathon, right? For the long term, for the greater goal, the big dream. So you got to break them down into things that you try and you're like, yes, I tested it out. I can do this. Now let's do it. All right. The other one is consistency, being consistent. Concentration is an ingredient that's necessary. When you get into the zone and you get into the flow, you need to have a concentrated time, especially if you're doing minimal amount of time, consistency, and concentration. If you're in minimal investment of time, you need to be focused and concentrated in that time. So with the workout, I'm going to hit it hard for 25 minutes because that's all I have is 25 minutes, just once a week. So I was telling myself, this is the only time I am going to work this body part this week. I have 52 times I'm going to work this body part this year. That's it. 52 times. 25 minutes this week on this body part. That's it. So I got to push it. If I'm going to have results, I got to push it hard. During my workout, I would push myself hard and I would tell myself, just one more. Make an effort. Push this hard. Push this hard. Go. I'd embrace the pain and the struggle and the difficulty of the moment that proved to me that I was making an effort. I was making those minutes count. It proved to me that I cared about those minutes. It proved to me that I cared about the result of that one investment in the week on that body part, right? So whatever you're doing, make the time count. Let the struggle and the difficulty and the pain of the concentration in that moment prove to you that you care about each moment of that investment. Concentration, key to your success. Let's put in friends and community now. Let's just say that there needs to be voices of encouragement. There needs to be models of success in your life. And there needs to be an accompanying friend. You get those people that encourage you. Amalia, Luis, Luz, Yuria, my mom. They all encouraged me. There were voices that were like, go for it. You can do it. My sister was a voice that encouraged me. Now, these people may not be involved with you, and some of them may be, but some of them may not be. And they're just voices of encouragement. You need that, right? And we can't really contrive these voices, but we can value them. So value the voices that are speaking encouraging words to you. There's enough people speaking negativity, and there's enough negative looks that are around. Let the people who are impressed by your effort, let their words and their looks that they give you ring true in your heart and sustain you. Also, it's so important to have people with you on the journey. So Luis was one of those guys who cared about his physique and cared about his health. And so he was watching what he was eating just for health reasons. And he cares about his energy and his presence that he brings to the moment. Yuria, who cares about her presence and the energy she brings to a moment and her health. And so these two people were in it with me. They were caring about their diet. They were making physical effort. Luis would invite me to the gym. And I just felt like we were together in it. And it was such a cool thing. I try to involve other people with me. And when you do that, You know, some people will feel you're being pushy, others will be inspired. The point is that eventually you do need a community. So get a community that is involved with you. Not only that they give you words of encouragement, that is involved. They can be an online community, but it's so preferable that they be somebody who's close to you, physically present with you in that activity, whether they're in the same town or you see them every week or something, that they can look you in the eye and be like, yeah, let's do this, right? The only thing you need to be careful of is, you know, the discouragement that may come when people stop accompanying you for whatever reason. That somebody might get sick, or somebody might just suddenly have a switch in priorities, a change in priorities. That can't change your priority. That can't change your consistency. See, I had some friends that were like, you know, I got other priorities right now, and they dropped off. Another friend, they were unable to continue because of things that were outside of their control. Other people just, you know, didn't feel like it, and so that day they gave in to the discouragement. That didn't stop me. That can't stop you. That won't stop you. You and I continue no matter who's by our side or who's not by our side. You with me on that? You with me on that? Then the third one, voices that encourage you, people that are with you, and then the models. Now listen to me. Get your models. Get the people you're trying to imitate. Get the people you're trying to become like, their names. You know, I remember somebody talking to me about guitar, and they started asking me the names of different guitarists. Steve Vai, Eddie Van Halen, Jimi Hendrix, John Mayer. And I didn't know any of these names. You know why? Because I was a beginner guitarist. You know why? Because I was a low intermediate guitarist. I was doing it as a hobby. I wasn't doing it as a goal. When we go for the gold, when we go for accomplishment, for goal fulfillment, we will suddenly begin to learn names. When I started making an effort towards bettering my guitar skill, I began to learn names. Why? Because I was looking for the path to success. I was looking for the sounds that pleased the ear. I was looking for the techniques for faster fingers. In that pursuit, I began to learn names. And those people became my models. Those people became the ones that I began to try and imitate, that inspired me. Right? So if you don't know names of people for your goal, it's time to begin to jot some down. The time is now. Before you start pursuing your goal, the time is now to start writing down the names. So with a guitar, I could go off and say, I want to play like Tommy Emmanuel. I want to play like John Mayer. I want to play like Steve Vai has some good stuff. I want to play like Andy Timmons, like Jasko and Yamaru, and Vicente Amigo, and so many more. I'm probably leaving out some. And then with piano, I want to play like Hiromi. I want to play like Chopin. I want to play like Liszt. Here are the guys that inspire me with their physique. And I thought, hey, it wouldn't be bad to pursue a physique that looks kind of like that. It's totally doable, 30, 40 minutes, multiple times a week over a period of years. Jeff Side, Jeff Cavalier, Rob Britches, Sergio, and most recently, this guy. Remember one of those encouragement videos I offered about goals, and I mentioned having a playlist for your workout routine? Well, Brendan Burchard recently starts talking about a playlist for your life and a soundtrack to your life. Imagine a movie without the music. The music evokes often the feelings, emotional bonding to what we're pursuing. My playlist moved from this to this.
No choice but to fight till it's done. No more suffering, no more pain. Never again. Oh, I won't give up, and I won't run. Oh, I won't stop for
My current playlist for my workout is more defined by meaningful songs to me that help me push with all I have than the crazy double kick drum and electric guitar. Now, I love all that, and there's different times for different things. You're going to switch it up as you go along, but the point is, have something that evokes the emotion, the energy, the intensity, to have an emotional allegiance to your victory. I like that, an emotional allegiance to your victory. All right, about letting you in on my progress. This is personal to me and embarrassing. I do it for a commitment to strengthen my own goals, to celebrate them, but also so that it's an encouragement and model to you. On this journey, I'm going to be the first person to put my foot on the battlefield and the last person to remove my foot. See, there's two people that are going to finish this year strong, and that person is you and me. I don't know about anybody else, but you and me, we're going to finish this year strong, because I got to be strong for you and you got to be strong for me and we got to be strong for everybody else. So this is why I do this. And again, it's personal and embarrassing. Some of the reasons why I didn't get the gains of Jeff's side, Jeff Cavalier and Rob Riches and Sergio and these guys. I believe that all but one or two of these guys are completely natural. But here's the difference. How long have I been working out? 1 year. How long have they been working out? For some of them, a decade or longer. I just have 1 year. Another thing is my eating habits just aren't the best. I'm going to work on that this next year. My sleeping habits aren't the best. You need good sleep, good eating habits. I need to eat a lot more if I'm going to gain muscle. Part of my problem is I'm working out hard, but I'm not eating to sustain or to create mass. So they eat better, they sleep better, and they work out more. Often they're working out their body part twice a week. I'm only working out certain parts of my body once a week. So along with giving myself the grace and the compassion and the patience of multiple years doing this, what's going to help me this year is better sleeping, better eating, and I don't think I'll move to twice a week. I'm just going to push hard on those 25 minutes and keep it at one. Again, my purpose is health more than aesthetics. So whatever 25 minutes 4 times a week gives me, eating better. Before we go any further, ladies and gentlemen, the pump.
We should pump for this, right?
Yeah. We actually have a mobile gym on set as well. A couple of dumbbells and a bar. So the days when he's shirtless and we want that pumped look, we're actually lifting a little weights before he's on.
Now the pump is a very beneficial process in muscle building, but it can also be a very harmful mentality to have. The mentality that says, I want to look bigger, but not make the effort to actually be bigger. As you saw from the clip, some actors will be using the pump so that they stay at their maximum on screen. The pump only lasts about 20 minutes, which is the problem. Then you return to your normal size. With a pump, you can look a little bit bigger, muscles look a little more swollen, and they look maybe a little more vascular. Now, I've heard this pump mentality of looking bigger, but not making the effort to actually be bigger. I've heard that mentality in other voices. The voices that say that black dress, because a black dress, or the color black, actually has a slimming effect, like maybe some weightlifting has a swelling, an enlarging effect. So the black dress may be equivalent to a pump, right? It has an effect, but there's a minimum amount of effort put into that. Another voice would say, I want to play that song on the piano, so just show me what's necessary to play that song. A voice that's speaking from a heart to learn languages would say, I want to learn enough to be able to communicate the basics in that language. So I went online with this mentality looking for ideas of how to get a quick pump on your muscles. Some people go apparel shopping and other people go teacher shopping, just looking for the basics and the quick fixes to make an appearance of betterment with as minimal effort as possible. I type it into Google and up pops a forum. On the forum, one of the responses to this question was, wait for it, why don't you work out so that you actually are bigger and don't have to depend on a pump to look good? Whoa, I was confronted. I was convicted. Let's apply that to the other voices. Why don't you learn music and piano or guitar so that you can play any song, not just that song? Languages. How about you learn the language well so that you can say whatever you want to say in that language and communicate whatever's on your heart in that language, not just the basics. All right, here we go for apparel. Why not work out and commit to a healthy lifestyle so that you look good in anything and everything? No matter the color of apparel you decide to wear, you look great. Thank you, whoever made that comment on that forum that popped up on my Google search. I am grateful to you for releasing me and giving me freedom from a faulty and futile mentality, the mentality of a pump. So, with a new mentality, I re-entered my workout sessions, And this time coming at it with, I will work out such that I don't need a pump to look good. I don't need a pump to be my best. I will be my best with or without a pump. There's only one section of these pictures in which help me out, and I actually try to pump up for that. But the rest of the pictures, if there is a pump, it was from that part of the body I was working on, and it wasn't the entire upper body that was pumped. Usually there was minimal to no pump, as it was the end of the day, and I was just taking some pictures for logging and tracking my progress. Along with no pump, there's also no Photoshop or retouching work on the photos. I'm happy that I do see a little bit of results. You might miss it, so celebrate with me the fact that I see the results and that I'm a little bit celebratory about it. So thank you, and here we go. Oh my goodness. Did I just blush? I think I just turned red.
Number one is define your starting point, which is absolutely critical. And number two is how to understand your progress and how to measure it. And the third and final point is to determine the tools which are going to get you there. The first point is defining where you are right now. What's your starting point? You know, whether you've been doing this for a long time or you're just getting started, you really are at a starting point. So this is a great time to take measurements. This is a great time to know how much you weigh, what your body composition is, what's worked for you in the past and what hasn't worked for you in the past. This is all useful information that you can use in order to move forward effectively. Setting proper goals is absolutely important for everybody. A lot of times people skip setting a goal and they just jump right into it. But how do you measure progress unless you set timely goals? How do you know that you're progressing in the right direction unless you set a goal for, let's say, there's always been debate about how often you measure progress. Popular celebrities will tell you not to measure it more than once a week. I'm under the philosophy that you measure it frequently, but you understand variance. So I believe that one of the keys to compliance and staying on track and staying motivated is being able to track yourself. I recommend on a weekly basis you're checking body weight and body composition. When you track change and you track body weight only, it may not give you an accurate reflection of what's happening with body fat. That's why it's so important to track body compositional measures, body fat and lean body mass, to give you a better idea as to what's happening with your body composition. Your weight may stay the same, but you still may be moving towards your goal. That's why it's good not only to have these types of measurements, but also visual cues as well as tape measurements. For those people that are going at it at home, I always recommend that people take photographs on a regular basis, at least once a month. I highly recommend that people keep journals, that they jot down their notes, that they take pictures and they put it in there, that they track their workouts, because that's how you know how you're progressing. Visually, numerically, demonstrates change, your blueprint for building more muscle mass and hypertrophy. So it's important that as you get started, that you implement that first law and all of its components. Define your starting point, okay? Track your progress, and find the tools that you need to be successful.
I'm Jamie Fitzgerald, entrepreneur and adventurer. We all have tough days. Let me tell you about one I've had recently. In 2003, I was rowing across the Atlantic Ocean in a tiny rowboat with Kevin Bigger, 5,000 kilometres between Africa and America. On day 2, it was the worst day of the entire trip. Day 1 was great. Flat seas, calm skies, everything was wonderful. We were rowing 16 hours each every day, an hour and a half on, an hour off. Day 2 came around. I won't tell you about every single day of the trip, they were awfully similar. Day 2 came around, and it was the worst of the entire lot. Headwinds coming up, head currents coming along, pushing us back to the start line. And here we are, rowing our way towards Barbados. Kevin and I realised we had a choice. What we could have done was put out a sea anchor, a big parachute that goes in the water, and with the wind pushing you backwards, you can't because you're holding onto the ocean. We tried it for 5 minutes, and we realised those head currents were pushing us backwards. So after 5 minutes we said, no thanks, we pulled it in. We said to one another, what's the alternative? We didn't know what all of the other crews were doing, 19 crews deciding their own fate. We decided, let's keep on rowing. We changed our shift pattern, re-geared our oars, redistributed some of the weight around the boat, but for 39 hours, fundamentally, we kept rowing. After 40 hours, we called our manager and asked how our progress was going. We hadn't moved anywhere over the face of the earth. He looked on the internet and he could see where we were compared to every other crew. And these were his words. He said, fellas, however you're dealing with this race, don't stop. Don't stop the process and the way that you're deciding how to deal with these tough days. Every other crew decided to put out their sea anchor, and now you're 30 miles in front because everyone else has gone backwards. So we haven't moved anywhere, and we're in front of the race, in front of the fleet by 30 miles. After 40 days, 5 hours, 31 minutes, we reach Barbados, break the world record, and win the race. The distance between first and second? 32 miles. Who would have thought that on day number 2, the decision that we made to keep rowing could arguably affect the outcome of the race? I wouldn't have thought that. So it got me thinking. Sometimes when we think that tough times are all around us and things are really difficult, we need to keep in mind the conditions are often the same for absolutely everyone. So can I put this to you? Today you have a choice. You can either put out the sea anchor or you can keep rowing.
Why, Mr. Anderson? Why? Why do you do it? Why? Why get up? Why keep fighting? You believe you're fighting for something, for more than your survival? Can you tell me what it is? Do you even know? Is it freedom or truth? Perhaps peace? Could it be for love? Illusions, Mr. Anderson, vagaries of perception. Temporary constructs of a feeble human intellect trying desperately to justify an existence that is without meaning or purpose. And all of them as artificial as the Matrix itself. Although only a human mind could invent something as insipid as love. You must be able to see it, Mr. Anderson. You must know it by now. You can't win. It's pointless to keep fighting. Why, Mr. Anderson? Why? Why do you persist? Because I choose to.
Dear son, I hoped I would never write this to you. In a little less than an hour, I will be strapping myself into my old plane and pointing your nose westward. I've seen the orders. I think it'll be for the last time. And so suddenly I find my life stripped away, like the branches of an old black tree. All that matters is I write this to you. I know you won't remember me. Not really. But I spent 3 days with you last year when you were 6 months old, and though you can't yet understand it, I loved you more then than you might imagine loving anybody right now. Now listen to me. This life, know that it is precious. You've got to grasp at every little whiff of it that passes by you. It won't be easy. It won't be certain. Not now. Not in your unimaginable future. Don't be surprised. No, embrace the stiff winds and the lonely heights. Remember your name. Never turn away from the right course because it's hard. Above all, love. Scrape out the bottom of your soul and love for all you're worth. And when you find her, risk everything. Die 1,000 deaths. Don't look back. When you grow older than I will ever be, blow on the embers of that first heroic choice. You'll be warmed, sustained. And someday you have a son. Remember he's your greatest gift. Tell him these things. Make a man of him. Love it. Don't live to get money. Have a few things, but make them good things. Take care of them. Learn how they work. There's beauty in the smell of good machine, old leather. When you walk alone in the autumn, down roads at night with trees tossing in the sunset, know that I would give everything to walk with you and tell you their names. But I am there in the light through the branches, and I'm loving you where I see you. I must go now. All my love, forever and ever, Dad.
If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but are none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And, which is more, you'll be a man, my son.